I'd like everyone at this time just to close their eyes. Close their eyes, get into that meditation state. You are ITCs, and I want you to think about this. Here's the challenge. How do we increase student engagement in the classroom to drive self-directed learning?
Now imagine this. You as the ITC start the spark with Adobe Sparks, pun intended. Then you witness your work start a fire in one classroom and then ablaze.
That fire spreads to another classroom, involving younger students. But now, you are not starting the fire. It's the older students that brought their own sparks to light their own fires that started from you.
Now kids are teaching kids, excited about what they are doing, engaged and tremendously benefiting from their learning. Now ask yourself, have you conquered your challenge?
This is the story of resistance and perseverance and persistence to overcome that resistance in order to help students succeed and help teachers and students be able to accomplish the standards that they need to meet. So one day I was in Christine's room, first grade teacher, and we have a project that we work on yearly, so I was in there for that project, but I noticed that the students kept going up to Christine while she was trying to teach her small group and, kept interrupting her and taking away the available time from the other students. The students were, confused. They weren't sure what to do. They were finishing early, so, lots of confusion on what they needed to do. So then the next day when I went in to Christine's room, I had asked her, I'm like, and I left it very general, and I was like, hey, I felt so bad that they kept interrupting you during your area time, and I was like, when I was in the classroom, I had, like a little symbol, and when my little hat was on my head, the kids knew they couldn't come over to me and talk to me. So she's like, oh yeah, I've done that in the past, and I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, they were just, very confused on what they're doing, and, they didn't have a backup plan, so I was like, not even going technology route, I was like, I'd be happy to cut and print things out for you, sit and co-teach with you so that they know what to do, they have a solid plan of what to do, and I was turned out. She didn't want my help with any of the extra work. So then but then she told me how she was so excited tomorrow, they're going to be using Play-Doh to make their sight words, and that they, that they'll be, more on task and more focused, and they won't be interrupting her. So then I was like, oh, well, I know you missed this presentation, but, the district doesn't consider using Play-Doh for sight words to be an effective way to practice the sight words. And then I went in to explain it doesn't meet the standard of reading sight words. So she was like, oh, so I was like, so I showed her my iPad and I showed her explain everything and how the kids could write their sight words and record themselves saying their sight words. And she shut that down because she said the students use their iPads for Maya during their area time. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, they could just read a book during the days that they're doing their explain everything time. And so she's like, okay, we can try this. So then, we did a little bit of planning. We decided to start with some of their words that they had been using for their spelling, and then we practiced their sight words the next day. And so now it's on top of it all, the students get to differentiate because they get to use words that are specific to where they're at with their sight words. And then some of the advanced students say sentences, so that way the teacher can also see, are they getting the context and meaning of how to use the words properly. And so the end result, when I went back, she's like, I love this. The kids are loving this. The kids are having fun with this. They're excited to show me their work. I can see their work and see if they're actually saying the sight words correctly at the end of the day. And, so then I was just kind of, because I was taken back because she was so resistant, I was like, so you're happy that we did this? She's like, oh yeah, it's just great. So then that led to her sharing it during grade level time with other teachers, and one of the other two teachers also jumped on board and had me come in her class the following week to do the same activity with her students.
Has anybody ever seen the video of the first follower, the one man, leadership, lessons in leadership by the dancing man? the idea of one person having an idea, compelled to do something, and without inhibition goes out and does it, and somebody else sees that one individual and decides to follow him or her. In the video, it's a him. And then by that one person, that first follower joining in, others now have the courage or have a sparked interest because they see more than one person doing it to join in as well. Well, we're going to tell you a story about an ITC who was compelled to do something, saw a need, and was compelled to do something about it. And in the course of a meeting, one other individual was compelled to also join in. And this had a ripple effect, which inevitably encompassed an entire school joining in on the dance.
Hence the droplet noise.
Hence the droplet
It's like
noise.
a ripple effect.
So,
At my school, every year when it was DTSDE time, nobody could find the documents. Last year's review, last year's reports, who has what, who has this. So then I went and I created a group in Schoology for DTSDE with all the documents and what have you, and I populated it. Didn't really say much, I told them about it, I added them in, but didn't say, or I really didn't push it as much as I should have. But there they were. Then the following year, DTSDE comes again, and where's this? Where's that? Who has the reflection? Who has whatever? And I said, it's in Schoology. Go look in Schoology under the DTSDE and you'll find it. Administrators had access and all the coaches had access to it, and they were able to find all the documents that we needed to reflect from what we've done the year before. So from there, our assistant principal kind of liked the idea of what he found and how I had it set up in Schoology, and created, I created a School 76 page and a group, and I had different, all the staff was in there, and I had different folders, different topics. I had one for technology, one for ELA, math, our SST, check-in, check-out, staff meetings, all different types of resources in different folders. And he started populating. And the paper trail was no longer a paper trail. Everything was in Schoology, nothing was being printed. And they basically were directing teachers to go to this place to get the resources. So from that point on, we then trickled into grade levels. So our 7th and 8th grade administrator started putting CPT notes in there, grade level meeting minutes in there, and teachers started to put their minutes in and started to access their notes or whatever documents they needed. From that point on, teachers were seeing the benefits of Schoology and how it was being used as a school, and as a grade level, they started to now use it with their classrooms, and they're in their own content level. From that point on, you know how on the updates of Schoology's page, teachers are now using Schoology within our own building and sharing the work that they're doing in their classrooms, kind of like on the BPS Schoology page where they show videos and pictures of what they're doing, and they're sharing. Not only do we have a Schoology School 76 page that's like that, but we have within the own groups, like a Global Scholars, the teachers are showing how to do certain things and they're helping and collaborate with one another.
So in summation, it started with that need that Heidi had of organization of all the documents. It spread out to then the administration had a need and they were able to access it. It went out to the teachers who then had a need and started using it. Then the teachers are using it with the students, and now it's become a school-wide professional learning community where they're sharing information and resources.
So I don't want to break all these down, but I think there's a lot to be learned from that piece, because this is how we build culture. This is how we share stories. This is how we begin to ask questions of each other. How did you do this? How did you do that? But it starts with that story. This is the campfire work. This is where our elders come and share the important stories, and then we try to make sense of what do those stories actually mean to us as a culture.
No dancing for Hughes up here. No. So this is a story of an ITC in our group who's going to be the hero of our film. And basically, she wants one wish. She wants people to re-examine their pedagogy. And to be able to do that, she has to really challenge them and challenge the notion of what a teacher is. So our hero in this film has one main goal, which is to redefine what a teacher is. So she's going to call teaching foaling, which is facilitating of learning experiences. And she's going to help her teacher who maybe is providing the obstacle herself with her own experience by showing her a different way of learning. And that's going to occur by setting up an amazing race scenario. An amazing race scenario where students aren't sitting down, but they're rather exploring. They're problem solving, and they're doing natural differentiation. Content specialists emerge, problem solvers emerged, group leaders emerged, and they were engaged, and it was authentic. And we hear that word a lot, authenticity in education, but truly, that's what occurred during that learning experience. So the teacher that was being helped was no longer teaching, but they were conducting. They were creating an orchestra of music, of learning. And as a result of that, the students changed their own paradigm of what learning was. And they bought into it, and they bit the apple, and so did the teacher, and they lived happily ever after.
It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. School 66 just got their one-to-one laptops. But there were teachers who were very afraid, scared to use the technology, scared of YouTube, scared of kids forgetting their devices.
That's me.
Meet
Scared.
James.
Scared. Scared of the technology, scared of the laptops, don't want them to use them, don't want them to have the YouTube, don't want them to take them and break them and everything else.
James has been teaching 6th grade for 16 years, exactly the same way.
Same pants. I don't change.
He's generally scared of the technology. You don't know these kids like I know these kids.
Yeah, they can't do it.
Now, meet Maud.
Here comes Maud. And then there's Maud. All right. Never get to use Maud often. You don't get to use Maud often, so I thought we'd use
I went Harold.
Maud is an ITC and meets James at a grade level meeting. James resists Maud's everything that she offers to assist with. Until finally Maud offers to teach a lesson, a full lesson.
Nothing. 40 minutes? Nothing. I can sit. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Come on in. Come on in. You can't do this, but come on in. There's no way. You cannot.
James is
No way.
happy. James is happy to lend the class away.
Go ahead. Take over.
Maud prepares a detailed and focused lesson on digital citizenship using a variety of BPS tools that are ready to go.
Selfless plug.
On digital citizenship, I may have said that.
Yes, that's it. The camera, the laptop, the lights, the script.
Maud teaches the lesson. Students are using, planning, they're writing, they're recording themselves, handing in the work. James is amazed and illuminated and realizes that the students are now enjoying, engaged, they're behavioral,
See, look at James.
behaviorally sound, and they handed in their work. James wants more ITC. Done.
That's it. Ah, you did it. Okay.
That was great. And I started to think about, so what are the visuals that would support the story that they were telling? And we should be thinking about that as we're doing that. So what are the artifacts? I was talking to Kristen and Kristen's group when we first broke and we started going back to that last piece of work. And Kristen articulated, sometimes I'm a little disappointed. I don't feel like I do really good work. And I said to Kristen, maybe what you should do is ask people, do some little surveys, capture some stories, capture some things, and then go back and look at that and help yourself to understand the impact of your work that you have every day. We talked about the idea of you watch children grow, and when you're close to them every single day, you don't see that growth. But if they go away to camp for a week and then they come back, it's like, holy cow, what did you do? What did you eat? And it's the same thing with the work that you do every day. And so think about ways you can capture some of this. I loved what you guys were sharing because I kept seeing I'd love to see that, and I'd love to see that, and I'd love to see that. So capturing those artifacts on your journey become really helpful to telling your story.
All right, so this is the story of Mr. Plewinski. He is a free-spirited tech teacher surrounded by glass, cafeteria noise, and a lot of food. Mr. Plewinski is drinking his healthy drink and getting ready for his day. His students are just coming in.
Need some breakfast?
No, I'm straight. These are cultural and delicious.
Yeah, yum, yum, yum.
Mr. Kaplinski is confused and a little upset. He wants to know why they're eating this.
That's all we have, mister.
It's strawberry flavored.
He's thinking something has to change. He has an idea. Mr. Kaplinski is going to teach his students how to read food labels. He's going to teach them about healthy choices. He even gets out sugar cubes to show them sugar content in their food. He still thinks more needs to be done. Mr. Kaplinski has another idea. He's going to take his students for a walk into the community to find out what's available to them. They stop at McDonald's.
Leslie. Least likely candidate.
They smell the grease. Mr. Kaplinski tells them apples and Go-Gurt are their only choices today. He's going to walk them a little more in their community, and they stop at 7-Eleven. Now he's going to show them the food content of the favorite drink of most students, Slurpees. Mr. Kaplinski's telling them it's not a good food choice and showing them why. They continue their walk throughout the area of School 67, and they realize that there's not too many healthy food choices available. But Mr. Kaplinski has taught them how to make the healthy choices. So now when they come into Mr. Kaplinski's room,